Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Osborne, Director of Analytical Research at Heritage. I'm also a member of the American Chemical Society, sponsor of this session. Today we have two experiments for you to watch. First is Camille Schrier, Miss America 2020. Camille will show you how to make slime and will tell you all about her story in our next segment at noon. The second is Dr. Darryl Boyd, who will talk about how to separate colors through chromatography. Here's Camille.
I'm Camille Schrier, but I'm also Miss America 2020. And I have to tell you, science is what helped me win my job as Miss America. I love science. I consider myself a huge science nerd, and I'm so excited that I got to use science to help me win Miss America. But I'm even more excited that I get to spend some time with you today doing everyone's favorite activity to make at home that is full of science, which is making slime. This is one of my favorite science activities to do, and I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to do it here today with you. So of course, we can't just make slime without talking about the science behind the slime. And do you really know what science powers the slimy fun that you make when you make a new batch of slime? It is powered by polymers. Have you ever heard that word before? I know I hear polymers all the time. There are polymers literally all around you, and I promise you, you have probably used a polymer at some point today. Whether or not you have drank out of a plastic cup, maybe used a plastic spoon or fork, maybe you picked up a Lego off the floor made of plastic, maybe you drove in a car that had rubber tires. There are so many polymers around us. They dominate our life, and slime is also made of polymers, and that is the really cool thing. So we are going to use polymers to make our slime. But what really even is a polymer? A polymer is a long chain, kind of like this. This is a regular old chain. Polymers are long chains, and they are molecules that have repeating units. And that's what makes them really special. So just like this chain has lots of little links, a polymer is made up of little units called monomers. And those monomers link up to make a polymer. And actually, when you hear a word that starts with mono, that indicates one. And when you hear a word that starts with poly, that means lots of things. So we have a monomer, or a one piece of something, that makes up our polymer, or lots of pieces. But before we get to making our slime, we have to talk about something that is really important, which is making sure that we stay safe. I have my lab coat on today, and I'm going to button it to make sure I am all protected. Making sure that we are safe when we do science is so incredibly important. We only get one body, and we want to make sure that we keep ourselves safe so we can keep learning and doing more science. I also need to make sure that I put on a couple more things. Now, I already have my hair tied back, so if you have long hair, make sure you tie it back into a ponytail like I did. And I want you to put on a lab coat, I want you to put on safety glasses, and I want you to put on a pair of gloves, because we have to protect ourselves. Gotta stay safe out there. And what I'm putting on is called personal protective equipment, or PPE. You might have heard of that in the news recently, and it's so important to make sure that we keep ourselves safe. So I have my gloves on, I have my glasses on, I have my lab coat on, I have my hair tied back. And I would also make sure that you have a good pair of shoes on in case anything spills onto your feet. Okay, so we talked about how slime is powered by polymers, and we are going to use a really cool polymer to make our slime today. And it's one that I guarantee you have already used before. So I'm gonna need to move my crown, excuse me, because I need to get some glue. This is regular old glue. Maybe you've used this in school. I've used it for crafts before, but I have just a big bottle of white glue. And you know what? I have to tell you a secret. White glue, and really all glue, is made of polymers. Actually, what is in here are long chains of something called polyvinyl acetate, or PVA. That is the ingredient that makes glue glue. And when glue dries, all of those chains start to fall together and they get bonded, and then it gets hard. But here's the really cool thing. You know, when we make slime with glue, it's not hard, it's soft. So what if we could get all of those chains of polymers to link up with each other without having to make the glue dry? That is how we're going to make our slime. And what's going to link up all of our polymers is something called a slime activator. And you can use lots of different slime activators, but the one that I like to use, borax. And this recipe is going to use borax, but if you don't want to use borax, try a recipe that has contact solution. That's another fun slime activator that you can try at home. So we need to get to making our slime. So let me get a few things out and we're gonna get ready to get cooking. So I'm gonna get my slime here, my glue. I have just a couple materials here. I have some empty bowls where I am going to mix my glue up. I have a big glass container with 2 cups of water in it that I am going to use to make my slime activator. I have a few measuring tools like a teaspoon, and I have some fun food coloring, which I am going to use to make my slime colorful and extra fun, because why would we not want to have super fun slime? So let's get to our slime production. How about it? So I'm going to take my glue, and the first thing I'm going to do is put a 1/2 cup of white glue or clear glue. You can pick whatever one you maybe have. I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of this glue into each of my bowls. All right. And I gotta tell you something, when you do this, I want you to make sure that you have a parent or an adult with you, and especially make sure that you have something that you can cover your table with, because you might get glue all over. And it's really fun, but it can be kind of messy. So definitely ask the parent. So I have glue in each of my bowls. A little bit of my glue, and that is sort of making it extra slime. If I was to use glue, it's going to come out a little bit too. I'm adding about a 1/2 cup of water to each of my 1/2 cup of glue. Now I'm going to add a little bit of food coloring, because that makes my slime super fun. So I'm going to put like 3 drops of food coloring in each of my bowls. Okay, and now comes the fun part. We are going to mix up our slime. So I'm going to mix this, and this is what's going to turn into my slime. Make sure that you mix your glue and your water really, really well. The better that you mix it, the better your slime is going to come out in the end. The yellow one kind of looks like scrambled eggs. Okay. So I have my slime all mixed. You can do a little bit. So I have my ocean. Remember that this slime acts exactly what they want to do you is going to be a chemical nectar, because what my glue do. Why did it change my slime from the regular glue that I had into this kind of semi-solid, semi-liquid thing? And so in glue, those polymers, the polyvinyl acetate, they can slide around each other. And so that's why glue is a liquid. But if we stop those polymers from sliding next to each other and we link them up like we did with our slime activator, they get to a point where they can't really slide around each other anymore. And we get this kind of solid slime, which is honestly so much fun. So much fun coming from the power of science. So I hope that you try to make some slime at home. This is always a super, super cool activity, but there's also some safety tips that I want to tell you after you are done making your fun slime. When you are done with your slime, please make sure that you wash your hands, and it's always better to keep slime up and away from your younger siblings or your pets. You can keep your slime in a closed container for a good while, but if it starts to smell or look like it has anything fuzzy growing on it, that's a good sign that there might be some bacteria in there. And so if that happens, make sure that you throw it away. So I hope you make your own slime at home with your parents. And when you do, I hope you remember this really fun activity and time that we spent together today. And remember that science really is all around us. Now back to you, BB.
Different types of chromatography. They include thin layer chromatography, gas chromatography, and liquid chromatography. But today we're going to be learning about paper chromatography. Here's what you'll need. You'll need some water. You'll need a glass or two, or paper cups, plastic cups rather. You'll also need a dropper. You're gonna need some bowls that have like flat bottoms on them. You will need some kind of filter. I'm using coffee filters, the kind that you brew coffee in. You'll also want paper towel or a piece of paper to place underneath your coffee filter when we draw on it with the markers. Of course, you'll need markers. Especially you'll want black markers. Now, most of these markers here are washable markers. That means that they are water soluble, but you'll also want at least one kind of, say, dry erase marker like this. So I have one black dry erase marker, one black washable marker, and a whole host of other washable markers. We also are going to do a little arts and crafts toward the end, so you'll need pipe cleaners. Now, the most important thing to pay attention to whenever you do an experiment is safety. For safety today, we're simply using water, paper, and markers, so it's quite safe. However, it never hurts to wear eye protection. Also, because we're using pipe cleaners, they have sharp ends on them. You definitely want to be careful using them, and you probably want to have an adult handle those for you. Now, colors, there are primary colors and secondary colors. The primary colors traditionally are red, yellow, and blue. What that means is that all the other colors are combinations or mixtures of those three. We call them secondary colors. In paper chromatography, we're going to take these markers, draw on a piece of paper, and allow water to move those colors up the paper. Those colors move up the paper because the pigments that make up the marker colors, we call them pigments or dyes, they traction to the paper. So when the water drags the pigment up the paper, based upon the molecule size within that pigment, or that the molecule's attraction to the paper within that pigment, the colors separate out. It looks really pretty and it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is to lay down your paper, or in my case, paper towel. Take a filter, lay it down, and then let's draw a circle and fill it in the center. Now choose a color that you like. I'm choosing purple. All right, So I have a purple dot here in the center of my coffee filter. Now, what I'm going to do is to take one of my bowls here, take the filter, lay it over the top, kind of flatten it out so that the circle, the dot is there in the center. Now I'm going to take some water and I'm going to drop her about 3 or 4 drops right on that purple circle. All right. Now we do what scientists often do, at least chemists often do, and that's wait and observe. So you'll want to see and watch what's going on. Perhaps you're taking notes, which is a really good idea. You definitely want to watch and see what's happening. Now, I'm going to set this off to the side because there's another way to do this type of experiment. And what I've done here is I've taken my coffee filter, I fold it in half, so it looks like this. And then I fold it in half another time, so it looks like this, and it's kind of like in a cone shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these black washable markers. Let me close this one, I don't want it to dry out. And I'm going to draw a line about 1 inch from the bottom of, or about 1 inch from the point of the cone. I do that on both sides, all right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this extra container I have and I'm going to fill it about halfway with water, okay? And what I want to do is open up my filter such that it does look like a cone. All right, so it should kind of look like a cone. Kind of look like a cone. All right, and once I have it looking like a cone, I'm going to place it in the water such that just the tip of the cone touches the water. All right, I don't want the water to go above the marker line. All right, and I'm just going to leave it there and we're going to watch and see what happens. Now, I've done several of these already because I know we don't have a lot of time today, and I will just give you a little spoiler alert here. What's going to happen here is something like this. Looks pretty cool, right? Like a really nice piece of artwork. That black line has now separated out into multiple colors because that black marker is actually, to get that black color, there are multiple dyes or pigments in there, all right? Similarly, I guess we can almost see this one now. My purple marker, you can see that there's like this really bright pink color there also. So it's multiple pigments or multiple dyes as well. Now, if you were to do a similar thing, what I've done with the purple marker with the black one, you'll get this, all right? Remember, we already seen that it separates out into multiple colors, all right? Now, you can try this with your other markers too. I would highly recommend trying the gray marker. I have a gray one here, and comparing that to black. You'll find out that they're actually quite similar, despite when you write with them, they look very different. Now, the other thing to definitely try is using this dry erase marker. What do you think will happen? Remember, I said that this black marker, this washable marker, is water soluble. And this dry erase marker, believe it or not, is designed not to be water soluble. So do you think it'll separate out using water? Give it a try. As for arts and crafts, what I've done here is I took my black marker, I placed it on a filter paper and did this version of the paper chromatography demonstration. And then I took a pipe cleaner. I kind of folded the filter like an accordion. And I took a pipe cleaner and wrapped it around the center of the filter paper. And I made something like a little artwork. Now this kind of looks like, I don't know, a butterfly. If I took another one of these filters and put it on here as well, I can make like a flower out of it. So you can do science, some fun chemistry, as well as some arts and crafts. Well, that is all the time we have for today. I do want to thank you for joining me here, and we'll send it back on to Bibi. Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Please join the next session with Miss America 2020 live. Thank you.